Stratford Regional Station, our main focus, getting the capacity up there to handle large numbers, very much larger numbers than it sees currently. There it is again, roughly 4 years ago. The horrible grey shed, corrugated asbestos thing you see there, behind that was the very original entrance to the station in 1840-something that was partially still there and still had part of its roof left. And beyond that, the old signal box. The major change since the 20s, the original access to the station was the eastern subway, which is now a utility subway, and the entrance for a long time was over here, old cream tile entrance that you'd hardly notice. In '96 along came the Jubilee line with the new Jubilee concourse there, which made a huge difference to the station, but very little else had taken place on any other part of the station apart from a new subway, the western subway, much wider, and the eastern subway was shut down. If you just vaguely remember this slide, here you've got the city in the distance, you've got Thornton's Field carriage sidings there, and just keep your eye on this. That's what it looks like now. Obviously, still some way to go. There's Stratford Regional Station there, a new bridge link connecting Stratford City Shopping Centre, as it will be, the Olympic Village over on the right there. This is CTRL, Stratford International Station. That's the link to the Eurostar depot. And over here, obviously, the Olympic Stadium, the water events area there, which is nearly finished now with its roof. That's the media centre, and up here will be the velodrome, the basketball place, and one or two others. This is actually a few months old, and some of this area is already much further developed. So the problem we faced at Stratford Station was basically this. There was no space. Incredibly narrow platforms. This is platform 3, the central line into London. What do we do about that, basically? How do we fit a lot more people into a very constrained area? And the answer was to get rid of it, basically. So we've demolished as much as we can on the high-level platforms, surface level, moved essential functions, the top control room down the end here. We've had to leave 1 or 2 buildings on the platform. We've put new lifts in to serve every platform. It wasn't a fully accessible station. It will be by the time we're finished. And every area will have at least 2 lifts serving it, so that if one goes down, they've still got the other one to rely on. Put in new systems or attached to the old ones, and essentially kept the station going while we're doing it. Most of this work will finish by the end of September at a cost of around 125 million. This is a mezzanine extension. The point of this is this bridge, if you remember, goes right across the station, will shortly, it's in the process now of having its steps, escalators and lifts installed to serve the shopping centre, but it will also serve a mezzanine extension here. Along the side of the London-bound Central Line, we are building a new platform 3A, which is nearly complete. And at the moment, people getting off the Central Line, a lot of whom want to interchange at Stratford to go to Canary Wharf or other locations en route, have to go into the subway to join the rest of the throng milling about through the station. They'll no longer need to do that once this opens. They'll just cross out into the mezzanine level, which we're building new routes for, and they can either go straight down into the Jubilee line hall there, or come out of the station through this exit here and down these steps or escalators. Or obviously at games time, instead of putting them through the subways, then come out and go straight across that bridge. Lee Valley line mentioned briefly, that's just a bolt hole that we're creating extra capacity on in case of disruption during the games. But the Great Eastern Main Line, we need a lot more trains than currently can do so to call at Stratford for it to take the pressure off the Central Line, for which not a lot can be done in terms of capacity increase. To do that, we need to do 2 things. One is get freight trains out of the way. You may or may not know the North London line is the only route across London at the moment that can take 9'6" containers, which are becoming the national maritime standard. And so the ports at Harwich, Felixstowe, Tilbury, and the new one being built now all send their traffic this way. So we can't expect that to stop during the games, or not completely. We need to get the freight trains out of the way. So we're building a new loop, an extensive loop, to get them off the North London line and to keep them off the Great Eastern Main Line until there's a path ready for them. To do that, we've just knocked down that bridge there, Angel Lane Bridge, and this is the new bridge going up in its place so that we can put the freight loop through. The other thing we're doing is extending the platform which we're standing on to take this picture, so it can take 12-car trains, so that we can broadly increase the number of 12-car services that call at Stratford by 100%. North London line, I won't go into too much detail because that take a presentation on its own. It's a roughly £340 million scheme to double the number of services and run longer trains by games time. In fact, hope to see that early next year. The ODA is putting in 107 million of that 340 and work. You may well know, some of you living in North London, that the line's shut at the moment. It should reopen on the 1st of June, and that's the first major piece of work to upgrade that route. Basically, it was the Cinderella line, and in fact was almost closed in the 60s, late 60s. That's Dalston Junction. The site is very different today, but I won't be able to get down and take another picture until it reopens again. That will be the junction for the East London line coming in Phase 1A, linking up at Highbury. At the moment, East London line terminates at Dalston. It will run effectively as a separate railway, but for the moment, the 22 out of the 24 new train sets from Bombardier Class 378s are now in service, so the old 313s are slowly disappearing. The 23rd and 24th set are being test extended for their 4th carriage at Derby at the moment, and they hope to bring in 4-car operation around the end of this year. So already ridership is going up just with the new trains. DLR took over the southern end of the North London line, Stratford to North Woolwich, with very low ridership. We'll go down to Canning Town and go north into, or next to, Stratford International Station and form the main physical link with Stratford International to the rest of the transport network. That is going into driver testing in July, I'm told, and should be open in September. Displacing the North London line to put the DLR route in required a new terminus for the North London line at Stratford at high level, and those are the 2 new platforms. They've been operational now for about just under a year. Problem we've had there is berthing 2 sets on 1 platform at the same time. We think we've hit a solution there now to allow 4-car operation next year. High-speed one, obviously well known to everybody as Javelin. Whilst very quick, 7 minutes from St Pancras and about 9 minutes from Ebbsfleet, no Eurostars will call at Stratford International during the games. It just couldn't handle the volume, so they will change either Ebbsfleet or St Pancras. But the point we need to make, that's international, point we need to make about Javelin is that it is the sexy service of the games, no doubt about it, but it will only take 10% of the demand. That's a problem we're going to face. So a lot of our efforts leading up to games will be persuading people to use other routes, really, and not simply to go to Javelin, which will be almost certainly fully booked from day one. Jubilee line, we already know about. We've already lengthened the trains. The new signalling sometime this year. That's a new fleet we're bringing in. One of the very, very first jobs we had to do at Stratford was move poor old Robert the engine, unfortunately, because he was in the way out the front. So he's being looked after by the East Anglia Railway Museum, and we bring him back probably early next year. They don't want to give him back, so there could be a bit of a fight there. West Ham, I should just briefly mention, that will handle roughly 15% to try and take the pressure off Stratford, and a bit of a fallback if anything goes wrong at Stratford during the games, but it's only temporary work there, so nothing much to show you. And just to mention that we obviously had a large number of other schemes going on at the same time, which were taken account of during the bid. Won't go into those in any detail, but we're relying on those as much as anything. And that's it. Thank you.